Hi guys, Sandy from the Padel School here. In today's video, we're going to talk about your court position and where you should be trying to stand on the court, both at the back of the court and the front of the court. We'll also at the end talk about some common errors for both of those. Before we start, let me know down in the comments if you were one of those people that struggled with the no man's land, or you are still struggling. It's something that when I came to paddle first from tennis, I always got stuck in this part of the court, and it's something that was very difficult to get out of because I was always in a bad position here. I'll actually link to the no man's land video up here, but let me know down in the comments if this is also a struggle of yours and how you're planning to get out of it. So starting with the court position at the back of the court then, as a guideline, you've got the separation in the glass, which a lot of players use. So you've got this separation here and the separation here, between the back two panes. And you want to be at that kind of intersection here, If you're in a match and you don't have time to kind of check the glasses and stuff like that, you want to be roughly one big step back from the service line and a couple of big steps, to the side glass, So in this position here, this will be the kind of base court position, So from here you will move to hit the ball and then come back into that position, When it comes to defending this part of the court, in paddle, you want to defend all of this corner as your own, Anything in your half ideally. Now, as a guideline, anything from this separation here, up this part of the court, in this rectangle here, will always be your ball, Anything that comes in here, that will always be yours. Anything that bounces to the right-hand side of this could be potentially yours, or it could be your partner's, depending on the trajectory of the ball. So for example, if they've hit a forehand volley that is bouncing in this section here, and then it's going to hit the glass, it's actually probably going to rebound into your partner's court. So that would be their ball. You also need to consider that if your partner has hit a ball by the side glass and they don't have time to recover, and you've got time to take a step to your right, you can actually help them by playing that ball in the middle, So just as a guideline, these two end panels of glass up to this point here, you are covering this rectangle, Anything that goes in this middle pane of glass, so it's the middle 2 meters of the court, could be yours or your partner's, depending upon the situation. So when we're in this back position here, obviously our objective is to try and get to net, but it's really important to take your time and get comfortable here, Far too often I see players hitting a return and then coming and standing on this line here, but then you're out of position. You can't defend properly, these balls that are going further back in the court, So you want to be in this position here and just get comfortable playing the ball down and then choosing the right ball to come forward. And when you choose the right ball, then you want to go all the way from your back court position right up to your net position, You don't want to do it step, hit a ball, one more step, hit a ball, like you often see tennis players doing, where they're hitting half volleys like this, trying to force their way in. Instead, you want to play, a good ball from the back and make it all the way up to your net position. And that way, there's less risk of making a mistake. And also you can take a commanding situation in that point. When it comes to the net position, you've got to think that there's two main objectives. First of all, finishing the point. Secondly, keeping the net. And that's something that is really important that players often don't consider, because you might get a difficult ball that's down by your feet, for example, and you can't finish that ball, You need to play a set-up ball, force them at the back, keep them at the back so you can keep the net. And the other example is if you've been lobbed. If they hit a lob, you're going to move back, you're going to hit a bandeja to keep the net position, You're not trying to finish on that ball, and that's often a mistake that a lot of players make, is they try and finish when they don't have the opportunity. So if we're considering that you need to finish and you need to keep the net, then we don't need to be too close to that net, So just as a reference point we use with players, you've got the first post, the second post, and then the third post, So your general ready position would be either at the second post or one step in front of that second post, Roughly in between the first and the second. From here, you can then decide if there's an opportunity to finish and be attacking, in which case you can come forward a little bit, or if you see that they're going to hit a lob, then you can take a step back and you can be prepared for it, So that's why we often say that in this area here, it really depends on the situation in the point. If, for example, there's been, a good serve, you can actually step forward and be ready to attack that ball if you see that they're struggling. If you see that there's a ball that is kind of bouncing up and the opponent has their racket underneath the ball like this, it's looking like they're going to hit a lob, in which case you actually can move a step back to in line with the second post and then be prepared to hit that bandeja. Yeah? So as a distance from the net, you want to be roughly between first and second post, back to the second post. Yeah? That way you're prepared for anything that might happen in the point. Now, when it comes to your movement at net, you also have a lot more side-to-side movement than you would do at the back of the court. For example, if the ball is going into the forehand corner on the right side, I would move across to make sure that I'm going to cover that ball down the line. Yeah, I want to try and close the angles, and my partner, they will move across and cover this shot down the middle. Yeah. If I am to change direction on that ball or with my forehand or backhand into the other side of the court, then it will be my responsibility to move across and cover the center, and my partner will then move across to cover the side. It is really important that you get used to moving as a pair like this in order to cover the gaps. And also, this kind of reflects your shot selection. Yeah? If you choose the wrong ball to go cross court and you give them an easy ball and you end up in this position, you don't have time to cover the center of the court, which is your responsibility. Yeah? So you need to be very selective about when you're going to change direction. But as long as you remember that with your partner, you need to cover the gaps so that if it is down that line, you come across together, and if it goes the other way, you move across together, then you should do a good job of covering those gaps. Now, we've mentioned this on previous videos multiple times about watching your opponents and how they're playing. If they're coming under that ball, then you know that you can take a step back and you can be in a position to hit the bajada. If you see that they're going to set up like this and they're going to be aggressive after the back glass, then that means you know that you're going to be playing a more of a block volley because the ball is going to come to you faster. The same if you're at the back of the court. Yeah, if you see that they're going to hit a vibra, then you're going to watch how that spin will react and come off the glass. And it's just about being in a position anticipating what your opponents are going to do. Now, this is really where we kind of introduce the tactics. Yeah, once you start anticipating well, you can start introducing the tactics of where you should be playing. And that is exactly why we made the tactics course, so that you can actually see what tactics you can use on the court, how to take the net, how to hold the net, where you should be playing at the right times. Now, you can either sign up for the tactics course, or we've got the Padel School Plus, where you get access to all of our content. I'll put both links down below, but those are really good places to go if you want to get better at the tactical side or the match play in your game.